Good morning, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Um, Thank you for joining our session on Microsoft Planner. Just a little bit about me. My name is Josh Nicholson. I am the Vice President of Managed Service for Acropolis. I've been with the company 10 years. I am a Microsoft certified professional in Office 365, and I am a nerd and a teller of bad jokes. So just to kind of go over the core concepts here, what is Planner? So we're also going to talk about using Planner. I'm going to do a demo and go through some scenarios and some use cases that might help you and show you some ways that you can organize your tasks better. We'll do a recap, and then we should have time for some Q&A at the end. If you do have any questions, you don't have to wait till the end to go ahead and post them, so get them out. Over on the right side of the screen, or if you don't have the window up, you can click on Q&A at the bottom and bring up a box, and you can type in any questions you might have, and then we'll get to them at the end. So thank you. So with that, what the heck is this thing? So Planner is it's a piece of software. It comes for free. It's included with Microsoft Office 365 and Microsoft 365. It's a task management tool that you can use just for yourself to keep all your things organized. It's team collaboration. It's really kind of a project management tool if you want to use it for that. It's visual. It's organized. It's got reporting. It's easy to use too, and that's the key. It's integrated with Teams. So our webinar series is really about getting more power out of Teams and getting more out of Teams. So I'm going to show you a little bit of how Planner stands on its own, but really the bulk of it will be using it within Teams, which should make most people happy. And also, just kind of a bulletin, it is getting a new name. So when we browse to some of these sites and things like that, you'll start to see tasks instead of Planner. It's a little confusing, but Microsoft is going through a rebranding initiative right now. So yeah, what is Planner? So from chaos, I still see this today. I'll go into relatives, businesses, or even their houses where their desks are. Sometimes even other clients, and it's Post-it note city. Post-it notes, the paper industry is doing fine. And I see this a lot. Everything from tasks that need to be done. I've done it too. Like sometimes, I'll be on a call and I'll just start jotting down a bunch of things on a Post-it note. The problem is it's hard to keep track of that, especially as the days go by. And it's not digital. So, if the cleaning lady comes through and gets ambitious, you could lose all that. So Planner takes you from this to this. So what you get here with Planner is you get a nice clean interface built into Microsoft Teams, easy to collaborate with your coworkers. It's rich media, so you can attach videos, you can put links to websites in there, you can have multiple people assigned on a task that you might be working on with somebody or a group of tasks, and I'll explain more about this later. But I also wanted to just kind of tell a personal use case story. We do a SOC security compliance, which is a pretty big deal for us, where we have to go through and basically from an IT standpoint, show our work, so to speak. So we have to go through and talk about, well, how do we manage our backups? What is our disaster recovery plan? And not only write it down, but we have to prove that it works to an auditor who comes in from outside our company. And then, we do that and we get a certification, and that lets you guys know that you can trust us with your data, things like that. Well, with that scenario, we had multiple people working on that initiative with us at one time. So, we'd have anything from what I'd call it, some of our guys on the front line that help clients, they had a part to play in it, to me, to people in our HR team. So it was just a lot of people at play. So it was really important that we, have a way to organize that. And it spans out over, several months too. So we use Microsoft Planner. And it was a game changer for us, to be honest, because we were able to break up all the tasks by, the time that we need to have them complete, and show who was assigned, and make sure that if there was any comments or anything, it was all right there in one place. So we weren't having to do it in email and have, anything in paper, and we didn't have to go in and have a bunch of files in a file folder somewhere. It was all self-contained within Planner and Teams. So the other cool part about Planner is it has a lot of great integration. So I've mentioned Teams already, but it also integrates with the rest of the Microsoft software, mainly Power BI for your reporting, Power Apps and Automate, so that you can do some cool workflow automation too. So I have some examples of that later that I'll show. Another topic is always security. So Planner is built in Microsoft's cloud, which is all Microsoft software, Teams included. Planner, pretty much all of their cloud-based software is secure from an ISO standpoint, HIPAA, SOC, and I don't have the badge up here, but GDPR even. So they tick off the major ones. It's also internally secure in the sense that if you've got a private planner going, like maybe you're planning the boss's birthday in a planner and you don't want him to see that, you can set up security so that it doesn't show up. And most importantly, all the data is stored in the cloud, so you don't have a chance, like a Post-it note or even a notepad document on your desktop, of losing that information. So some of the things that I'm going to go through in the demo is I'm going to show you how to create a plan from scratch. I'm going to show you the components of a plan, what makes it up, and how you would use those. And then I'm going to go through 3 different scenarios that I thought might be helpful, 3 different use cases. One, more of a personal task list. One, a sales management or sales funnel that you can build out on your own. And then the third one being an employee onboarding for an HR person, which is more of like a checklist. And then along the way, of course, I'll throw in some tips and tricks there too. So the core concepts that we're going to get into are, we're going to talk about plans. We're going to talk about, and these kind of all nest into each other: plans, buckets, tasks, priorities, charts, and filters. And with that, I'll just kind of get into it here. So I'm going to switch over here to my desktop view. Okay, so now I'm in Teams. And again, you can go to Planner outside of Teams, and that helps with because another thing you can do is you can pull up Teams in your mobile app. So there's an Android and an Apple app, and you can get to Planner outside by going to task.office.com. But mainly for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to stick within Teams here. So I've got my team pulled up, and the first thing I want to do is I just want to build a new team from scratch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say we've got a new seasonal promotion going on, and I'm going to say we're doing a winter promotion. So you can kind of see we've kind of done some of these before. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, up at the top in the channel, I'm going to click on the plus icon, and then I'm going to select Planner from the list. Generally, Planner's at the top, but you can also search for it. Now here, I've got 2 options. I can create a new plan, which is what I'm going to do here. But the other cool thing I can do here, and this comes in later in one of the scenarios when we're doing the employee onboarding checklist, is I can copy a plan. So in that case, that's really nice if I've got multiple copies of the same thing. Like I do the same thing every fall, or I have a year-end checklist or something like that. So that's cool. And you can export these and import them from Excel. So if you've got something like that already built out, you can do a little manipulation of the data and just import it in as a plan. But I'm going to do a new one. So I'd already used the other one. So we're going to do a winter promotion. All right, so this is it. We're on the board. That's what they call this screen that we're looking at within the plan. And we're just going to start adding tasks. So adding tasks is super easy. It already kind of prompts me. So I'm going to say, print flyers. And I'm going to click add task. And then let's just populate this with some other tasks we might need to do. We're going to print some coupons. So, and there's more to it than this too, but I'm just showing you the basics here. And let's add a couple more here. All the sales guys. And what else do we need for a fall promotion? Contact Time Magazine. I don't know why, but it sounds good. Okay, so now we've got our tasks built out. The next concept is buckets. So on these boards, you've got buckets. And the idea of buckets is a logical way that you can divide up your work. You could divide it up by people, you could divide it up by phases or dates. So maybe if you want to put each month in for this promotion, that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm just going to say May. I know it's winter. I just caught that. All right. So I've got my months drawn out here. Now I know that I don't have to contact Time Magazine till July, so I can just take my task and drag it over to July. That's nice. We also want to make sure that we have somebody accountable for that task. So if I was using this task list personally, I wouldn't necessarily need to assign anybody, but I'm not. I'm collaborating with my teammates. So I know that Adele is going to work on this task here. So I'm going to go in here into the task. I'm going to click assign, and I'm going to choose Adele from the list. Okay, so the other thing that's cool is Adele's going to get an email in her mailbox that says, hey, you've been assigned to a task. Now, usually most people, they're going to be aware that they're working on something like this. So they should expect it, but it's nice that it comes through. So now maybe also we want to say, well, we need that specifically. We need that by the 15th. Okay, so now we've got a due date. That's awesome. We can also bring a couple of these other tasks around. Maybe we assign a couple other things here. I think, Christy was going to work on the printing coupons. And Alan was going to call the sales guy, and Alan was also going to print the flyers. So now I've got my basic task structure set up. If I get done with a task and I've completed it, so let's say Adele's done, she can just mark it off. Is that easy? But you can also bring it back, so it doesn't disappear, it doesn't go away, it's not lost forever. So that's kind of the basics. But then there's a lot of other stuff you can do here. So maybe I'm running this team, right? And I want to see what the status is of how this project's going. So I got some really cool data here. I can see what buckets each of the tasks are in. So I can see if maybe we've got, okay, July is overloaded. I need to reshuffle. We need to replan before July. Otherwise we're going to have a problem. And then I can also see, well, okay, I've got a lot of high priority stuff. That's a problem. I can see if I've got a member that's overloaded with tasks, maybe. So at a glance, I can really see a lot of information about my project that's going on and how I'm using my plan. The other cool thing you can do is you can filter too. So I can filter by, due dates, labels, and I'll show you some more about the labels and stuff like that. But I can also see based on assignment, which is nice. So if I just want to see what's assigned to Adele, and again, with us just having a couple tasks out here, it's not that hard to just glance over it. But if you've got 50 tasks and 6 buckets running at the same time, things can get a little overwhelming. So the other neat thing you can do is you can take right now we're grouped by buckets, but you can also group the tasks by assigned to this way too. So that gives you a little more, it's not just filtering, it's a little more visualization. Still showing you all your data, but showing them to you in a way that's more useful for you. So with that, and I'll get into some more of the features as we go here. I'm going to go into one of the tasks and show you the different options besides just the due date that you can actually set up on a task. So obviously you can assign people, you can assign multiple people. So if maybe we want to get Diego in on this too, we can. We can also set our priority. And as you saw, we can sort by priority, which makes things great for somebody that might be overseeing the team. You can add checklist items, which is really cool. And I'll show you a neat thing here. I can spell. There we go. So you can just kind of go down the list here. And let's say I want those to show up on my task at the front. I can click that, and now that did not work. Get back to that here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now they show up on the card. So I can just go in and tick those off right there from the card. I don't have to drill into the task. Another thing I can do is, let's say I had a, for the printing of the coupons, maybe I'd already done some legwork, so I could say, oh gosh, I think her name was Adele, yeah. Adele already did some of these things. I could send that and I can upload it, and I'd probably put that I'm going to upload an attachment here. I can go to my desktop, pull out the manual for the printing. Maybe that's relevant, and upload it right into the task, which makes things easy to find for people later on. And when we get to the HR onboarding for a new employee, this is really awesome because you might have an HR document that you need them to read or a link that you need them to go to for training. So I won't go too far down that route till we get to that scenario, but I just kind of wanted to show that. So that's kind of the core. You also have some labeling options here. So maybe you want to give a certain type of task color code, so you could easily sort by them. Code red. I don't, maybe that's internal versus external, something like that. The sky's kind of the limit. You can really have a lot of flexibility. So what you use your labels for on this plan doesn't necessarily mean what you have to use it for on another plan. So those are kind of the core concepts of using the board, the planner, the tasks, and the buckets, filters, and reports. So now I'm going to go into a couple of these different scenarios that you might have. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to go through the scenario of maybe I'm a small in-house IT guy and I don't have a really nice fancy ticketing system like I have with Acropolis, and I need to do some basic ticketing. This is also applicable for an office manager. So I'm going to bring up my board here. And so what I've done here is I just went in, I created some simple buckets just to show I've got new tickets that I haven't addressed yet. I've got in progress tickets that are currently being worked on by me or another member. Or we've got tickets that are waiting, whether they're waiting on an end user or a vendor or something like that. And it doesn't have to be IT stuff. Again, this could be things like, hey, we're running low on coffee in the break room. You can be creative with the usage for it. And what's really nice is when we go into some organizations, we'll see that they're trying to manage all these tasks with multiple people through email. And it's just, I don't know how you could even do it. It's, you're going to have balls that get dropped all over the place, that sort of thing, just because everybody thinks somebody else is working on it because there's no way to visualize it. So with something like this, it's very simple to set it up where you can easily see who's assigned, you can easily see what phase it's in. And with that reporting, we can also come in and see, okay, like I do every day for us, how many tickets do we have in our backlog? How many tickets are in new, outstanding that need to work on? Oh my goodness. Okay, well, maybe we need to get, I think the name of the person here that was assigned to these was Christy. Maybe we need to get Christy some backup for the day to help her out to get through a backlog. Again, you can also upload attachments and that sort of thing here. So if there's, I'm helping somebody out, it's like, hey, I've got a knowledge base article on that printer, or hey, I've got the order form to order new trash bags for the break room. You can do that here. The other cool thing that I did with this here is I've actually, all these issues that you see are these in new that are coming in, all these tasks that I've got that I'm using as issues, they were generated from an email. So a user could email a shared mailbox. And in this case, it was support at our organization. And from there, it automatically makes the task. So you could do that for all sorts of things internally. Anything where you've got multiple people working on something and you want to use it like a ticketing system without actually going out and spending all that money on a ticketing system, because this is included with Teams. With Microsoft, you get it included. So that's one use case. Another use case where you could use this is we talked about the employee onboarding. So I'll go ahead and get over to that one. We've already got it built out. So with this case, the way we did the buckets was we did them by day. So you could have something like before the employee arrives, the day that the employee starts, week 1, week 2. It could be for HR. We use one internally for or something similar for the training process for a new employee for us. So somebody comes in, we've got all the tasks written down. So you can kind of see an example of some of the things you can do here. So I've got all my tasks set up. I can assign them to a person or a group of people. I can add links. So if I had training links, I can put those in here so that somebody could come in and say, oh, okay, these are the 5 YouTube videos I need to watch for how to run the copier in the lobby, or how to manage our get a quick start guide for our phone system. Maybe you give them a PDF, but you've got it all right here. And the nice thing is the employee can go back to, and they can reference that later if they need to. because this is where they're comfortable seeing things. You can also put your, and this is where this really comes in, you can put your different tasks here, and they show up right on the task, so you're not having to drill in, and you can just check them off right from there. And you can also, you've still got the reporting, so you can kind of see, where are we at, who's assigned, what do we need to do to get this guy moving along? Are we missing some steps? Setting due dates would be a big one on this one too. So that's the second use case. The third, the next one that I've got kind of lined out is more of a sales funnel. So if I go in here and I go to my test pipeline here, so I built this out, and you've seen how we created those. But again, this could be, these leads could be generated, the tasks that are generating the leads could be automatic from an email. So you email sales leads at mycompany.com. They come right in here. You see them. There's about a minute delay. You see them come in here, and then you don't even have to manually create the card. So no more of that doing with the Post-its. You might also, you can have a form set up that a client or an internal person fills out that automatically generates the tasks. So that makes it really nice, because you're not having to manually enter these things in. And honestly, that's just the tip of the iceberg as far as automation goes with this and integration. There's a lot you can do with it. And that's not something, unlike setting up the plans, that's not something you probably would really necessarily want to mess around with too much, but it's something that can be done with the right partner. So we've got our clients in here, and you can see that we're moving them along. We can assign somebody to a prospect, make sure that they're getting that call that they need. Maybe we want to make sure that this is a VIP client, or they're a recommendation from a client, so we're going to put a label on it. Maybe I'm going to put a label on it. There we go. So I put a label on it. That way I can easily see that that was a recommendation from one of our existing clients. I can then, so say I'm working with a team that's managing the sales pipeline. I can then go in and I can look at my charts here, and I can see where are we at in each step of the process. And this is something that like a real big expensive product like Salesforce would help you with, and you can do that all right here. Now, obviously this isn't going to do everything a product like Salesforce is going to do, but it would be a good start if you just need something and you're tracking everything on paper right now. So that it's kind of a nice thing to see. So those are the three scenarios. So I'm going to toggle back over to my PowerPoint now. All right. So just to recap here, Planner is a simple visual way to organize your teamwork or your personal tasks. If you're already on Office 365, whether it's Microsoft 365 or Office 365, there's no additional cost as long as you've already got a license. Useful integrations with other Office 365 apps. There are apps for web and mobile, so you really don't need to be at your desk to use it. I know those tasks and completing those tasks come up anywhere. And it's really easy to set up and start using. And really, I mean, if you're on Teams now and you've got access to Office 365, there's no reason to not start going out there and using it today, and start transitioning your paper to-dos if you are that person that has those paper to-dos to digital, or getting things off of, like for me, for a long time, and I still do it sometimes, I'll run a notepad on my screen, and I'll have these little notebooks saved all over my desktop. But Teams and Planner have really helped me with that. So with that, just some things I'll leave on the slide deck. If you don't want to create your own, or you don't have access and you kind of want to play around and get the look and feel for it, there is a Teams demo out there that you can check out, and it just kind of gives you a visual idea of what you're looking at. And the Planner app, if you want to go there directly, I've left the link here. It's task.office.com. So with that, we're kind of down to Q&A. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, and I'll bring up my my test environment again, so I can actually demo that if there's something demoable.
Thanks, Josh. So we've got 3 questions. Actually, we might have 4, but anyway, the first question is, does this integrate with Outlook to-dos or any other task-related features of Office?
Okay, so that's a good question. what Microsoft's working on right now, if you caught in the early part of the slide deck, they're transitioning the branding to tasks, and that is exactly their plan. So right now, you've got To Do, which is a standalone Microsoft app. You've got to-dos that come up in Outlook that you've used for years, and then you've got these planners. What they're doing is they're combining all that right now. So there is some integration, but really to do it today, it's a matter of creating a Power Automate that would do the integration. So that's something like Acropolis would set up to go in and say, hey, I want to link my tasks from my planner to my to-do list, or vice versa. But that feature is coming. That's why they're rebranding it. That's the main driver, is to centralize all that.
Okay, the next question is, notice there wasn't a save button as you were working. Does it save changes automatically?
Yeah, so that's one of the great things about Office 365 in general. So not just Planner, but really anything with Office 365, whether it be Outlook, but even more important, Word, Excel, it saves your changes live as you're working. So those things I was doing, I don't have to remember to save. It saves for me.
This is a statement, not a question. It says, this looks like a great task organizer, while I guess Microsoft Project is more of a deep dive into scheduling big projects. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. This is not a replacement for projects. This is really for, I would say the small to medium initiatives. So does it have some integration in projects? They're planning on that. But one of the things that I saw, and I don't mean to get into too much future stuff here, but with Project, Excel, Word, and PowerPoint, they're actually adding in the future where you can actually set up a task right from any of those pieces of software. So if I'm in Word, where you would normally go in and do like a comment, there'll be another item. It's like, here's a task, and I can put it on a board. I can put it on someone else's plan, and that'll be really cool too, because it's like, oh, I'm reviewing this like big long Word document, War and Peace, right? And it's like, well, I don't want to just take that to do and then write it down myself. I can just do it right there in the software. But yeah, it's not a replacement for Project by any means. Project has a lot more with Gantt charts and that sort of thing. But I will say, like, for running a simple project, Planner is pretty decent.
Okay, so the last question is, can you use Planner in a private channel or in a chat?
So I feel like maybe I'm being quizzed there, but no, you cannot. Right now, you cannot use it in those. So it's a limitation with how the backend storage works, and it's just to make sure that but Microsoft can keep things secure. But I have heard that is a top requested feature, is to be able to do that. Good question.
Okay, thank you so much, Josh. That looks like all the time we have today. And if we weren't able to answer your question, please feel free to email us. We'll be sending a follow-up email with this webinar, so you can watch it at your convenience. And you can also send us suggestions on what you would like our next webinar to be about. Thanks, everybody, for attending, and we'll see you at the next webinar.
Thank you. Thanks, Maria.
Thanks.